San Francisco State University. Today we're rallying to defend public education, to defend democratic rights, to defend civil liberties, and the reason why we chose April 17th is because on April 17th of last year, we had a formidable movement for public education and also for civil liberties and free speech rights that started in several universities and culminated in a wave also of encampments on defense of the rights of Palestinians and everybody else in this country. Today in the US, we are having actions like this in more than 170 universities, public colleges, private colleges, and in the case of San Francisco State, we're rallying against the cuts because we're facing devastating cuts and we need to stand up against that. Welcome our first speaker today, Shar, who is a student here at San Francisco State and also a member of the YDSA and one of the organizers of the fabulous teaching we had in the quad at 10 a.m. Go for it.
Hey y'all, how are you guys doing today? Awesome, thank you guys for being out here. Like Blanca said, my name is Shar. I'm a member of YDSA, the Young Democratic Socialists of America. I want to thank you all for coming out here for this National Day of Action to protect free speech and most importantly, to protect each other, because that's what is most important at the end of the day. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to try to convince everyone here to become revolutionary socialists, which is fantastic. Just kidding, a little bit. So I'm an American Studies major with a minor in comparative world literature. And whenever I tell people what I study, they're always like, what are you going to do with that? As if higher education is merely a vehicle to deliver us to a place, to a job. But education for me has truly been an eye-opening thing where I can truly understand my location in history and I can understand how we got to this moment. I can see the last 50 years of a conservative movement that has finally come to pass and has come to take all of our rights away that were won during the Civil Rights Movement. So because of that, I organize. I organize because I don't know what else to do. I look to the news and I feel helpless. I walk around the streets of this city and I genuinely don't know what to do. I feel powerless. And 2 years ago, when I came to this campus and I heard about the tuition cuts that are forced from the Chancellor's office, I looked around and I looked for people doing the work. And that's how I came to YDSA. They're the ones doing the work, to fight back against the tuition hikes, to fight about the housing hikes, and all those different things. I barely said a word in my first few meetings with YDSA. I was an awkward transfer student, but that didn't matter to one of the leaders, Ali, who made time to come say hi to me every meeting. He would chat with me about rugby, shout out rugby team. And that's how I finally found my place in an organizing space. Then, eventually I met Sarab while text banking late at night in an empty humanities room because these people were the ones doing the work. And finally I met Japneet while tabling and going through the entire science building, trying to rally faculty members to come out to a union social. These friends of mine are my mentors. They're the ones that have provided an analysis of what's happening on our campus and allowed me to see what the horrific cuts that are affecting our education. Those three aren't the only ones doing work on this campus. We're at San Francisco State University, home to the first College of Ethnic Studies, fought for by the country's first Black student union. The Black student union and the Third World Liberation Front still lives on this campus today. We are the only university in the country that has a mural dedicated to Palestine on the other side of this building here. And that wouldn't have been possible without the General Union of Palestine students who helped lead the encampment so that our tuition dollars weren't going to fund a genocide. During the encampment, I slept just over there for all 16 nights. Slept is a little bit of an exaggeration, but hey, we won divestment. We didn't win divestment because of one person. We didn't win because we won because we worked together. Through our disagreements, political and social. And because our faculty were there standing beside us, utilizing their experience and knowledge to help inform the hard decisions that we had to make. The worst night of the encampment for me was also the best night of the encampment for us. Someone discovered a particle, that weird party Planet app, that was encouraging Zionists to come to our campus at 4 a.m. and stir up some trouble. This was a couple days after the UCLA attacks, while their administration and campus police simply watched. We knew that we had to be the ones to keep us safe. I was the co-lead of security at the time, so we made a plan. We went through the different possibilities. No one comes, 2 people come and they're just loud, 2 to 7 people come being loud, or 2 to 7 people come and they are violent, like they were at UCLA. We devised a plan to form a wall with our bodies to make sure that we could keep each other safe, while people that didn't want to participate and our media team could be on the inside to record what happened to us. We are engaged in a nonviolent protest against the genocide that our government funds. And here we were with a chance to get attacked because we were standing up for what is right. I relayed the plan through a megaphone to the sleepy encampment at midnight. I asked if anyone wanted to leave for their own safety. I totally understand. And not one person budged. We are all willing to place our bodies on the line. Thankfully, no one came, but still, we woke everyone up at 3:45 in the morning and gathered to watch a movie. I think it was Bottoms or something. I don't know. I never really slept. But I watched this community grow from a group of disorganized, angsty students to a powerful, resilient community of students dedicated to our 4 demands. The encampment instilled in me a hope, not a distant dream of one day, but something tangible here, now with us, cloaked by our individualism. I learned the power of mass action, I learned the power of democracy, and I learned the power that students wield firsthand. So when I look to the future and see the many fights of hell ahead, I am filled with hope, because I know the power that we hold. I know that we will not back down against Trump's threats. I know that we will stick together because we have to, and we want to win. And when we fight, we win! Finally, I'd like us all to look around just for a moment. Look at the people who have come here today, the faculty, the students, the community members, the laborers. These are the people who showed up to the call. These are the people who are committed to fight for our mutual liberation. And I hope you know people who wanted to be here but couldn't for a multitude of valid reasons. A lot of people, I'd recommend everyone get to know someone here. There are hundreds of, dozens of orgs here that are organizing to address the needs of their community and our mutual communities. We must continue to use our voices here in the Bay because we are not faced with the same oppression as other schools. But that does not mean that we are safe. We must keep us safe. Who keeps us safe? We keep us safe! Thank you all, and free Palestine.
Thank you, Charles. So, because this movement is a movement of students, faculty, and staff united against the cuts, united to demand that our money is reinvested in education and out of prisons, of detention centers, and wars and occupation, our next speaker is a staff member, a member of the SEIU union, and is going to read a statement. Please give it up for Sam.
Hey, yo. As the union representing 35,000 career staff and student workers across the CSU, CSUEU members care deeply about the university and its future. We believe that the CSU is not a corporation and that our campuses are not businesses. They are engines of hope, upward mobility, and transformation for Californians. We believe a strong CSU starts with a strong investment in its people. Cuts to higher ed hurt students, jeopardize programs and services, and undermine student success. California made a promise to student, staff, and communities that support the CSU. Now is the time to keep the promise. We need the legislature to fully fund the CSU, and we need the CSU to keep its commitment to students, faculty, and staff, and ensure the university is built to serve the next generation of Californians.
Thank you so much, Sam. And our next speaker is V, an amazing organizer with the Asian student movement. Give it up for V.
Thank you. My name is V. I'm with the Asian Student Union. I'm with the Student Union here. I've been around. I just want to acknowledge that every time I stand on this stage, I stand behind a microphone, I am representing my communities. I'm representing everybody in my life who's molded me and shaped me to be where I am now. I want to specifically acknowledge my ancestors, my grandparents, and name that I am the very, very proud grandchild of a paper son. If people who don't know what that means, Chinese Exclusion Act, started in 1882, set a precedent of United States legislation to exclude Chinese people by ethnicity, naming that out. Wasn't repealed until 1943. Paper sons, paper daughters was a way to enter the country illegally, but people have to do what they have to do. I'm here because of their bravery to leave their homelands, so I'm not afraid to stand here and criticize the CSU administration, to criticize the Trump administration, or any other administration. I also want to acknowledge that the tides are turning again for Asian Americans in this country. Just 5 years ago, we had hyper visibility around COVID, around anti-Asian hate crimes, and now we're getting back into a phase of being invisible when it comes to ICE and deportations. As it stands, the political science schedule for next semester doesn't have any courses on immigration. That is crazy! What does that mean for Asian Americans? There are many, especially Southeast Asians who risk deportation every day. I've only seen on Asian American news networks people saying that Asian Americans are being deported, are having visas revoked, are being ripped away from their families, are getting fired, are losing their jobs. So I want to name them here today. Jason Ma, who's Chinese, 24 years old, came to the country in 2016. He's a student at Carnegie Mellon, and his visa was valid until spring 2026. He had an expunged DUI from 2023, and he lost his visa. Loylin Dixon, 64, was a Filipino green card holder who lost her visa. There was a Chinese woman, 52, who committed suicide in Customs and Border Protection. She was arrested in Needles, California, and transferred to Yuma, Arizona. Kevin Wong was fired. He was a professor of Chinese language and culture at the New College of Florida. There's a Florida law restricting employment of international professors from China, Iran, North Korea, and Russia. Xiaofeng Wang had his house raided by the FBI in Indiana. He was a professor at Indiana University under cybersecurity, no charges. A man in Orange County, California, who had been in the US since childhood after fleeing Vietnam, had a valid work permit, was detained by ICE in Santa Ana, and transferred to El Talanto, leaving his wife and one-year-old daughter. Sun Jae Cho was denied a liver transplant and died due to his status as an immigrant. And I'm sure many of us have heard about Yoon So Chung, the Columbia student who fought for Palestine and had risked her visa getting revoked. I want to say to all the Asian American students on this campus, not to let master narratives paint us as silent, from budget cuts to relevant curriculum to a free Palestine and a unified Korea. Last spring, SF State made history yet again as the first American university to openly negotiate with a campus president at a Gaza Solidarity encampment. A week later, we became the first and remain the only American university to win divestment through an investment portfolio statement and human rights clause, with no suspensions, evictions, or disciplinary action to students, faculty, and even the administration. My question is, why not divest from policing, prisons, and ICE? Because we as students of struggle understand these are all appendages of the same beast we divested from last year. This is also why it is imperative to show up in support of the 5% budget increase, demand more, and ensure it goes to student education, faculty teaching conditions, not the pockets of administration or the US empire. Thank you.
And from one great organizer to the next one, we have here Javneet from the Student Union, one of the leaders of the encampment. Give it up for Javneet.
Hi, I'm Javneet. I'm a third-year English education major here at San Francisco State University. Woo! I'm so honored to be here today with all of my friends and people who I consider my family. It's been a rough 3 years being a student here at SFSU. I remember my first year, I didn't really have a sense of what I wanted to do yet, like most freshmen. But I knew that I wanted to maybe do the South Asian Studies minor here that we have at San Francisco State on the academic bulletin. And so my first year, I tried to register for some classes under the minor for spring, only to find out that those classes didn't exist anymore. So I think we can all relate to that feeling. Then my second year, they cut over 600 of our classes while also doing a 34% tuition hike. And so I was left wondering, why am I paying more for less? And then my third year, this year, they've had all these new AI initiatives. They've had statewide budget cuts, CSU budget cuts, more layoffs. Yeah, that's how I felt too. But also within these 3 years, I would meet professors I would grow to care deeply about and who clearly cared deeply about me. I would meet fellow students that would convince me to consider teaching. I would meet professors who would teach me English in a brand new way that made me realize all over again why English is a major worth falling in love with. And I would feel a sense of community that I've never felt before in my life. So when people ask me if I like SFSU, I say I love the people here, and I would love it a whole lot more if we made the decisions on how our school was run. Over where our money goes. Decisions that actually value education, actually value human lives over profit. The lucky part is I have seen the unwavering resilience of our community, and so I believe in a future where that is possible. Today we are in the right direction. We know we make things run, that we have the numbers, that if tomorrow all the students stop going to classes, all the teachers stop teaching, all the workers stop working, there'd be no school. I'm sure all of us know it's a long road till the whole school system realizes that. That long road is scary, but it's not a road we walk alone. Capitalism has trained us to view each other as numbers, but this isn't a numbers game. It's love. It's going out of our way to talk to our workers, our classmates, to get to know them as humans. It's building a sense of community in our departments. It's building a sense of trust where everyone walks into a room and feels cared for. If we build this, wherever we spend our time, it is out of those genuine relationships. It is out of that feeling to fight not just for themselves, but out of a love for their community, that the whole school will join us. And on the way, we'll have built something, a social fabric, to be proud of in and of itself. Maybe it sounds idyllic to you, but I believe, and I believe because I see it happening in real time. I'm here today on behalf of the Students' Union, and because of that, I've seen class discussions with my classmates in English turn into weekly meetings growing in size on how we can resist the cuts. I've seen the same for cinema, for history, for political science. I've seen 3 people with this mindset in philosophy go from talking about this with their classmates and their friends in the field lounge to holding general assemblies on how to resist the cuts. And every week, I meet a new person from a new department or sports group or dorm building, wherever they spend their time, ready to break the social culture of isolation, make some homies, and together resist the austerity. So I invite you to believe with me and to be one of those people. Because the people united will never be defeated. Say it!
People united will never be defeated.
The workers united will never be defeated.
The workers united will never be defeated.
Our next speaker is my colleague and comrade, Che Rodriguez, fellow faculty member from Race and Resistance Studies, and also very proud union and activist member.
Hey, right on. Welcome everyone, my name is Cesar Rodriguez, my nickname is Che. I am a son, a brother, a husband, and a father. And as was shared, I'm a rank and file member of CFA, and I'm grateful to say that I teach in Race and Resistance Studies in the historic College of Ethnic Studies. Free Mahmoud Khalil. Free Rumesa Ozturk. If he's still alive, free Kilmar Abrego Garcia. and free all of our political prisoners. And last, I just want to say before speaking, big respect to the students in movement and the staff and faculty who put themselves on the line to accompany our students. Now, I want to give you all a few rhetorical questions for you to ponder. Where would you rather live? In a country where there are more colleges and universities than there are jails and prisons? Or in a country where there's more jails and prisons than colleges and universities?
Colleges and universities!
All right. Right on. What do you want for your neighborhood?
More education!
All right. This is, I swear this person's not a plant. This is spontaneous. Yeah, I was going to say, do you want more neighbors who graduated from college with diplomas with little to no student debt? Or more neighbors who are formerly incarcerated? And this is no knock on people who are formerly incarcerated. I have neighbors and friends and students who are formerly incarcerated. There's no disrespect or distrust to them. They've been some of the finest, most trustworthy people we know. But
More people with college degrees!
all right. But we know that folks who wind up experiencing incarceration come out with a lot of setbacks, right? And what do you want? What do you want for your children in your local high school or young adults at your local university? More counselors than cops, or more cops than counselors?
More counselors!
Right on. And the reason why I bring this to you is because we live in the largest incarceration project in human history. The United States is only 5% of the world's population, yet we cage 2 million people and account for 20% of the world's population of incarcerated persons. So much so that they're now talking about outsourcing them to Buqueras, El Salvador, which is opening for business as a prison colony. And prisons don't stop at their walls. You've heard the term the school-to-prison pipeline. It helps us understand how the tentacles of incarceration permeate our minds and even institutions that are supposed to nurture people. So check this out. The Black Organizing Project found that in 2013, Oakland Unified School District, Oakland Public Schools right across the bridge, 8 miles across the bridge from us, right, employed 115 police officers and also only 20 counselors. I'm gonna say it again. I don't need to say it again. Y'all got the message. A child in Oakland was 5, nearly 6 times more likely to encounter a cop at school than a counselor. What in the world is going on here, right? That's right, shame. And thankfully, the Black Organizing Project has mobilized in order to defund and dismantle the police department, OUSD. But listen, let me give you some more bad news. This year, the CFA found that at least 10 of 12 campuses that provided information, there might be more, this pattern might be the case at more CSUs. We don't know the numbers for San Francisco State because they didn't share it. But there are 10 campuses where there are more cops than counselors at CSU campuses, man. I'm saying, bro, what's going on? At Cal State East Bay, 26 cops, only 10 counselors, bro. What's going on?
Cops off campus!
There you go, cops off campus. We don't need them to keep us safe, man. Similar situation at Fresno, Chico, Stanislaus. And so yes, this is how deep incarceration goes and who's impacted. People from the working, well, everyone, but acutely, everyone, yes. People from the working class, mostly black and brown folks. And it's concentrated in our working class communities. So the Bayview, Hunters Point communities are experiencing incarceration rates that are 4 times higher than that of Parkside, just right up here north of Stonestown. So it's concentrated in working class communities of color. They don't make our communities safe. They make things worse for us. They take people with the least resources and most troubles and compound these patterns, right? They make things a lot worse for us. So they're not part of helping us. They're part of our oppression. Now look, I know I've been the bearer of bad news and some of y'all are saying, yo, this is the California, we're doing this to defend higher ed. What's going on here? I want to give you some good news. Well, yeah, I want to give you some good news. Thanks to decarceration, due to Prop 47 in 2006, there are now 15,000 empty prison beds in the state of California. There are 2,000 unfilled prison guard positions in the state of California. Even with the big salaries and all those benefits, they can't fill these jobs. There are 12 facilities in what they call warm shutdown mode, where they're paying for utilities and staffing, but they're empty. And public safety has never been better in the state of California. Despite all the stuff you hear on right-wing news media, public safety has never been better. And on account of these, yeah, right on. And on account of these empty prison beds, the Legislative Analyst Office, which is no abolitionist entity in California, the Legislative Analyst Office is like your run-of-the-mill government office. They said that the state of California could shut down 5 prisons and save $1 billion. So you guys already with the shit. You guys already know what's going on here, right? Plenty of folks are saying let's take this step in order to reduce the harms of incarceration. But given the crisis that's impacting the CSU, folks are saying let's not just shut down those prisons, but redirect that $1 billion in savings back to the CSU in order to improve the quality of our education and our working conditions here. Right? So we're building a coalition and campaign in order to make this possible, to make this a reality. We expect opposition from prison guards, district attorneys, sheriffs, police, and the like. But that's why we want to build with y'all, with unions in higher ed, student organizations, and community organizations in order to force Sacramento to do the right thing. So we want y'all to join us. So right now, if you're with it, I'm going to say shut them down, and you're going to say fund the CSU. Cool? Shut them down?
Diane and phone banking is going to be one of the most amazing organizers against the cuts for the conference in February 22nd, and also for all these days of action. Macy Tolson from the UAW Local 4123, representing academic workers and police.
The people united will never be defeated. Thank you for being here and fighting to liberate the CSU. My name is Macy and I'm a grad student in the Women and Gender Studies Department and a trustee with UAW Local 4123. Our local represents over 10,000 academic student workers across all 23 CSU campuses. Our union workers are teaching assistants, graduate assistants, graders, and tutors like myself. We provide essential labor and support to keep the CSU running. At some point in our educational careers, we will all have been supported by academic student workers, and the CSU works because everyone here works. We are here today to fight back against the budget cuts, campus collaboration with ICE, overt repression of free speech, student visa revocation, and the continued attacks on students and faculty who speak up for immigration in Palestine. We say no more. My union is about to enter bargaining next month, and we demand more for workers, more for students, and more for our education. In our last contract, we successfully bargained a 10% raise increase, increased sick leave, better protections against harassment and discrimination, and we raised the pay floor for all worker classifications. But this bargaining season, we are fighting for even more better working conditions, more rights, and more pay. While admin enjoy their fat 6-figure salaries and do nothing for students and faculty, we have to beg for crumbs. We have to beg for tuition to not be raised, beg for student safety, beg for no more cuts to faculty and classes. Is this fair? No! Is this just? No! And will we take it? No! The CSU has $8 billion in reserve, and they are unwilling to reinvest that in our education. Shame! Shame! The CSU acts as an investment portfolio instead of an educational institution who is supposed to serve the public. Shame! Shame! Lynn Mahoney makes over $500,000 a year, plus, it gets worse, plus an $8,000 housing stipend and a transportation stipend. You said it. Our terrible chancellor, Mildred Garcia, has an $800,000 salary. Plus $80,000 in something called deferred compensation. I would love that. It gets worse. Plus an annual $96,000 housing allowance. Plus a $12,000 car stipend. Poor Lynn and Millie. Admin line their pockets while the CSU has continued to cut education, increase tuition, and lay off hundreds of faculty and super essential lecturers. Is this fair?
No!
Is this just?
No!
And will we take it?
No!
We are witnessing the slow and deliberate death of public higher ed. While we're facing internal threats from our own admin, Governor Newsom and the state also wants to bleed us dry. Shame.
Shame!
Every struggle is shared, and we must put pressure on our senators. We must put pressure on the state legislature, on Newsom, and we must demand that our public servants actually serve the public. As we witness increased cuts and we continue to be bled dry, we must be united in our fight to liberate the CSU. We must stand together. We must fight to liberate ourselves from greed, capitalism, and repression. We must say no more to fat admin salaries and cushy jobs while they sit there and do nothing. We must stand together and fight for ourselves because they are not going to do it for us. This is why we are here today, you guys. And this is also why it is critical that you join us downtown today at 2 o'clock at the Civic Center so we can take the fight to the state. Let me hear it. Are you going to be there? Are you going to fight for your rights? Are you going to fight for the CSU that we deserve? Then we will see you at 2 o'clock at the Civic Center today. And when we fight, when we fight, one more.
All right, everyone. So we have a little bit of an activity for you all today. For those of you who received a death toll notice, there's a Grim Reaper on it. All right. If I could have you come and congregate as gently as possible, right over here. All right. We got lots of faculty. We got students, and what we are about to do is a die-in. Over here, we have one of our faculty who is going to perform the role of the Grim Reaper, right? This is a symbolic action to show just how much we lose if these 8% budget cuts go through. So, at the sound of the gong, all right, our Grim Reaper is going to come down and mow you down, all right? And I will be saying some eulogies as we go. So, everybody be ready. So, here we go with the 8% budget cuts. Everyone's dying. These are all your classes, your taxpayer money that is going to end. All right. All right. These are your counselors that should be hired back. These are all the lecturer faculty that are not being hired back. These are the faculty and the staff and the student services that are under attack with these budgets. Symbolically, if we had all 100, right, at 5 seconds each, that would be 100 faculty with this 8% cut. And that's not where they're gonna stop. They have no imperative to serve our people. We have to fight for it. This is admin taking us all down. These are your faculty, your comrades. Everyone's going. This is an AI campus. This is a robot campus. This is what AI does. If we don't control it, who is? All right, I'm gonna have you stay there for our people there. Please let us have a little bit of time to mourn. This is what we lose. All of this faculty, more students, if you'd like to sit down as well in solidarity and think about what all we lose when our funding goes to AI campuses, when our funding goes to padding admin pockets. It becomes an empty, dead campus. This is what happens to us. If we don't fight back, none of us will be here. But this is not how this has to end. Grim Reaper, you got something to say?
Hell yeah. We don't need to have a Grim Reaper destroy our faculty. No, we have the power. We have the power right here to make a change. Here's how we're going to do it. Everybody will contact one of their representatives. We've got state legislators, we've got assembly and senate. If you live in San Francisco, your state senator is Scott Wiener, and your legislator, your assembly people are Haney and Stephanie. And if you live elsewhere, we've got sign-ups right here. We've got sheets where you can scan and figure out their phone numbers. We need to call them. In the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a decision made for the budget. Contact these representatives. Now, I know that a lot of you are very politically active, and you've had contacts with some of these people before. Some of these names may be familiar. And sometimes some politicians don't take a stand that we support on certain issues, but there is no reason that any of these politicians should be cutting the state university system. It's the lifeblood of our state. It provides education, it provides uplift, and it enables our state to thrive economically. So every one of us can exert our power, and heck, look at this. If the Grim Reaper can turn into an activist for higher education, then even Scott Wiener can vote right.